The neighbor hands you $40. The dryer is already sitting at the edge of the driveway, dented on one side. Heavier than it looks, still smelling faintly like burned lint. You are 18 years old. The pickup is borrowed, the straps are frayed. You do not have a plan. You have an empty truck bed, 2 hands, and a willingness to touch things other people want gone. At the transfer station, the scale attendant prints your first ticket. The gate fee comes out. Fuel comes out. Your time comes out. Customer paid $40. Net profit, $22. $22. That is what you made. Not enough to brag about. Barely enough to matter. But standing on that scale, holding that receipt, you do not know you just walked into the architecture of an industry. Because junk removal is not really about junk. It is about who pays the toll and who eventually learns to own the road. The $40 dryer that built a junk empire. This is the story of how a broken dryer becomes a business, and how a business becomes a system. Level 1, the hauler. You start as the guy riding in someone else's truck. $17.52 an hour. Full-time, that is about $36,000 a year before taxes. It sounds like a job until you watch the money from the inside. A customer pays $150 for a couch you carry up from a basement. The job takes 40 minutes. Your share of that $150 is $11.68. Customer paid $150. Your share, $11.68. The rest disappears before your check exists. Dump fee, fuel, truck payment, insurance, dispatcher, advertising, owner's margin. The customer thinks they paid for 2 guys and a truck. The company knows they paid for a system. At this level, your back is the cost of goods sold. You are not participating in the margin, you are the mechanism that creates it. But you learn to pack a truck like Tetris, flat things flat, heavy things low, nothing loose enough to shift on the highway. You learn that the transfer station scale is not just a scale, it is the toll booth. Every pound you dump costs money. Every pound you avoid dumping protects margin. You learn that an old dryer is not trash, it is scrap. Copper is not garbage, it is money hiding inside walls and appliances. A couch costs you at the landfill, but a working dresser might disappear for free if you take it to the right donation center. That is the first secret. This business is not about what you haul, it is about what you do not pay to bury. One day, you get sent to a hoarding cleanout. The house smells like ammonia, wet cardboard, and old food. Half the new hires would quit before lunch. You do not. You stop thinking about the smell. You start thinking in categories: metal, donation, landfill, resale, hazard. The customer asks for you by name the next month. It is the first time the work points back at you instead of the company. You do not know it yet, but that is the first crack in the employee mindset. Level 2, the owner-operator. Level 2 begins when you stop riding in the truck and start paying for it. You buy a used dump trailer. You put a magnet on the door. You make a simple website. You tell people you exist. And suddenly, the money you thought your boss was keeping from you does not appear, because now the dump fee comes out of your pocket. Fuel comes out of your pocket. Liability insurance, phone ads, flat tires, slow weeks, no shows, all of it comes out of your pocket. The first full load looks good at first. The customer pays $250. The trailer weighs almost 2 tons. At $62 a ton, the dump fee eats $124 before fuel. Customer paid $250. Dump fee, $124. You do the math after fuel, time, and the part of your spine that never fully comes back. You might have cleared $60, maybe less. On the drive home, the business feels smaller than the dream. That is why most owner-operators quit. Not because they are lazy, because the arithmetic is honest. And honest arithmetic at level 2 is hard to look at. 8 months in, you are clearing around $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year, less than you made as a hauler, with none of the stability. But you stay long enough to notice the second secret. The dump fee feels fixed. It is not. It is a variable you can attack. Every appliance you pull for scrap is weight you do not pay to dump. Every reusable chair that goes to donation is money saved at the scale. Every wire, faucet, bed frame, washer, and copper pipe becomes part of a quiet second business, hiding under the first one. You stop seeing junk. You see routing, sorting, weight, toll reduction. The trailer gets lighter, the receipts get better, the margin gets real. Then one afternoon, the phone rings about an estate cleanout, a whole house. Decades of a life waiting behind one narrow door. You quote it by volume. You bring help. You fill the trailer, empty it, fill it again. The check clears. The family tells the neighbors. The neighbors call. Something shifts, not in the revenue, in the direction of it. For the first time, the money is not only moving away from you. Level 3, the operator. Level 3 starts with a second truck, then a third. And the day the business stops being your body and starts being your decisions, you dispatch 2 crews before your coffee cools. You check the calendar, you check the ads, you check reviews, you check the driver who keeps arriving 12 minutes late but somehow gets 5-star ratings. The numbers finally look like a company. $400,000 in annual revenue. Dump fees between $60,000 and $80,000. Fuel around $35,000. Labor around $130,000. Insurance, software, truck payments, repairs, advertising. Another $70,000. Your take-home lands somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000. Revenue, $400,000. Owner take-home, $60K, $100K. You are making more money, and somehow less freedom, because now every mistake has employees attached to it. A missed call becomes a missed job. A bad review becomes lower ad performance. A bad hire becomes a truck leaving late, a customer waiting, and a route falling apart before noon. Then a truck gets stopped at a roadside inspection. Too heavy, wrong driver, wrong paperwork. You eat the citation. You learn the rule. You restructure the fleet. You put the DOT number on every door. You build checklists. You build morning inspections. You build a system because your memory is no longer enough. That is the third secret. Regulation is not just a burden. It is a wall. At first, the wall keeps you out. Later, once you learn to climb it, the wall keeps smaller competitors behind you. Every compliance cost you survive becomes one more reason the next guy with a borrowed pickup struggles to catch you. The first full day your crews finish every job without calling you feels strange. No emergency, no missing tool, no customer asking for the owner. You sit in your truck at 5:42 p.m., waiting for the problem that never comes. That is the day you understand the difference between a job and an asset. A job needs your body. An asset keeps breathing when you are not in the room. Level 4, the contract. Level 4 is where the business changes shape. Residential junk removal has good margins and terrible predictability. One week, the phone rings 40 times. The next week, silence. You cannot staff for the peak without bleeding in the valley. Every month starts from zero. Every month is a new argument with the calendar. Then you land one apartment complex, 200 units, 10 to 15% turnover every month. That means 20 to 30 cleanouts you can forecast. You do not quote it job by job. You invoice it. Apartment contract, 24 cleanouts/month. That sentence changes everything. The buyer is no longer purchasing labor. They are purchasing predictability. Predictability changes how buyers value your company. A residential-only junk business depends on phones ringing. A commercial contract business depends on systems renewing, same trucks, same crews, different company, because a future buyer does not really want your trailer. They want revenue they can underwrite without guessing whether you personally answer the phone on a random Tuesday. You start building around contracts, apartment turnovers, property managers, storage unit cleanouts, retail fixture removals, office clearouts, recurring commercial accounts. You price residential work high enough to fund the sales effort. You stop chasing every cheap couch. You stop apologizing for minimums. Some customers leave, better ones replace them. A younger version of you would have panicked watching cheap jobs disappear. This version understands what they were costing you. Cheap customers do not just lower the invoice, they lower the future company. They make the business harder to staff, harder to predict, and harder to sell. The price you charged at level 2 becomes the ceiling you fight at level 4. Level 5, the junk empire. Level 5 arrives quietly. No movie moment, no champagne, no speech in front of the trucks. Just a quarterly summary landing in your email while you are eating lunch. You open it, you see the revenue line. You put the sandwich down, annualized revenue. $7 million, $7 million. You read it again. Not because you do not trust the number, because you started with a dryer, a borrowed pickup, a $40 neighbor job, a $22 net profit at the scale. Now there are light blue trucks running in 6 states, branch managers making calls you never hear, crews you have never met wearing shirts with your company name on them, dispatch software routing jobs in cities you have not visited in 18 months. The profit is real. The company is valuable. But the math is more complicated than the fantasy. $7 million in revenue does not mean $7 million in your pocket. If the company runs well, operating profit might be around $1.2 million. A buyer might value that at 3 to 4 times earnings. After taxes, fees, debt, and years of risk, the number you keep is smaller than the headline. Still life-changing, but not simple. That is the 5th secret. Revenue makes people impressed. Margin makes you free. Your left knee hurts when it rains. It has for 3 years. You never tell anyone. There is no line item on the balance sheet for what the first decade cost your body. No one buying the company asks about the mornings you could not stand straight until the second cup of coffee. They ask about routes, contracts, crew retention, margins, growth. The system you built is valuable because it no longer needs the version of you that destroyed himself building it. Final level, the scale. Years later, you drive back to the same transfer station. Not for nostalgia. A branch manager needs help negotiating a commercial rate, and you want to walk him through it at the actual scale. Same attendant booth, same dust, same concrete crack running east to west across the apron, the one you used to line your trailer tires with. A kid backs a trailer to the edge. The bed lifts, the load slides. He drives off before the dust settles. Next address already glowing on his phone mount, and without calculating, you know exactly what he made. Customer probably paid $250. Dump fee took $124. Fuel took more. Maybe he cleared $55? Maybe. He thinks $55 on one job is decent money. You know because you used to think that too? He does not know the architecture underneath him yet. He does not know the scale is a toll booth. He does not know the landfill fee will never love his margins. He does not know operators who build real companies do not just learn to pay the dump less. They sort better, route better, price better, contract better. Eventually, they stop being the one paying the toll. They start designing the road. Your branch manager asks a question. You answer in 2 minutes. Specific, no theory. Then you watch the kid's trailer disappear through the exit. You want to tell him everything. You do not. Because some lessons do not land until the receipt hurts enough. On the drive back, you think about the dryer, the neighbor, the borrowed pickup, the $40, the 22 you kept. You did not know about tipping fees, lead costs, commercial contracts, exit multiples. You only knew the dryer was heavy. The neighbor paid, the truck bed was empty again. That is where every version of this story starts. Not with talent, not with luck, not even with hard work, not in the way people mean it. It starts with one small job that teaches you where the money goes. Then another, until one day you stop being the person paying the toll and become the person who understands the road.